Tartaria, Mudfloods, and Satan short season. Time to unscramble some eggs. I'm making myself make this video. Let me clear it all up in under a minute. Tartaria is a Latin word that the medieval Europeans used to describe the Mongol Empire. That's 1200 AD. The Tartarian conspiracy theory, however, which posits the existence of a vast suppressed lost civilization, originated in Russia with Anatoly Fomenko's new chronology in the mid-1970s and early 80s. What's this all about? His new chronology reinterprets history, arguing that much of it, including the rise of Rome, was falsified to diminish Russia's historical influence. The theory was subsequently popularized by Nikolai Levashov's racial occult history. Oh, this is that same exact thing the Kantsees were doing, huh? Uh-oh. He claimed that an ancient advanced Russian civilization was deliberately erased by Western powers to suppress Russia's greatness. Oh, this is propaganda. Blending mysticism with conspiracy, Levashov is described as an alleged mystic, healer, and clairvoyant. Oh, it's pseudoscience. This claim of an advanced civilization, you could switch advanced with superior. Well, this isn't a new claim. This is the same claim made by the Sumerians, the Babylonians, the Egyptians, the Assyrians, the Persians, the Indus Valley, China, the Germanic tribes, and the Danes. Same story every time. It is the story people try to use to claim that they are superior. This is we were kings. Oh, you were? Let me try to find somebody who cares about that. Psych, they all died long ago. This is racial occultism. Same as the Kantsees loved to use. A twisted tale indeed, to where it's totally false. Tartaria was not a worldwide civilization, it was the Mongol Empire. Tartaria is just the same story as Atlantis. Remember how the Greeks claimed to be descended from the gods and all that? That's what that Russian fella was trying to do too. Funny thing is, the Kiev Rus were Swedish fellas that came over from Sweden and established this empire right here. The Mongols, the Golden Horde, the Tartars, the Tartarians, invaded in the 1200s AD and subjugated all these people in the biggest empire the world had yet seen. Here are their modern descendants, the Tartars. You see, it's the Moscow Times. The descendants of the Tartarian Empire, the Mongol Empire. These people are a mixture of mostly Mongols and Turks, because you see what they did there. Tartaria being a Latin word from 1200s AD. It was the medieval Europeans using Latin and writing that. There was no worldwide Russian civilization. The Rus came from Sweden and were Vikings, Norse, Danes, Danes from Sweden, as opposed to Danes from Denmark, which means Daneland. They got around on boats. They carried a story with them for certain. One that claimed superiority as they set up their empire. Which one? The same one that Russian fella is trying to tell, just using Tartaria, which is funny, because the Tartarians came in and conquered the Russians. Uh-oh. This doesn't fit the narrative of some worldwide Russian civilization when the Tartarians themselves are Mongols. You see? It's made up. An attempt to rewrite what actually happened there. Rather embarrassing for the Rus. While Russian forces did defeat the Mongols at the Battle of Kulikovo in 1380 AD, this victory did not fully end Mongol domination. Domination over the Russian lands. Domination, did you hear it? It's embarrassing. The Golden Horde, the Mongols, continued to exert control, demanding tribute from Russian princes until 1480 AD. Don't worry, we're getting to Mudfloods in Satan short season. I just want you to see how ridiculous this whole thing is from the start. The Golden Horde dominated the Russians until 1480, when the Great Stand on the Ugra River signaled the end of the Mongol influence. And the Russians regained control of their lands that they had taken from other people using the same methods the Mongols were employing to take it from them. Oh, that's what happened. Okay. That's what happened, okay? Mudfloods? No, a worldwide flood of water of biblical proportions. The flood from the Bible is what buried a worldwide ancient civilization of advanced technology. The days of Noah. The story of Tartaria just takes that same story and tries to reinvent it for Russian imperialism. It is the story all empires tell of themselves to dominate and oppress nations. You see? It is the story the Sumerians told, and the Babylonians and the Egyptians, and the Assyrians and the Persians and the Greeks and the Romans, and the Chinese and those in the Indus Valley and the Vikings, the Norse, and the Mongols too. Where'd they get that story from? Well, first, it is a shared common history. Everybody on Earth is descended from 3 married couples that got off the ark. If you don't believe that, that's your prerogative. I do. I don't demand that you believe it. I only offer it with all the receipts. So who started the first empire after the flood? Who tried to restart that same civilization that God threw down in the flood? Ham and his wife's descendants. Nimrod and Semiramis claim to be the reincarnation of the dead gods. What gods? Well, you see, in the days of Noah, angels from heaven had fallen to the earth and were ruling over it and having offspring and teaching them how to do technology and civilization and such. When God flooded the earth, he bound those fallen angels in chains and threw them into hell. They can't get out unless he lets them. He killed all their offspring. They didn't get chained up. These are called demons or unclean spirits because they were born on the earth and their fathers were fallen angels. Their mothers were human, so they can get out of hell. They come up from the abyss. And only 8 humans survived. Ham's wife was a descendant of fallen angels. And so Nimrod and Semiramis claimed to be the rightful rulers of the world and established the first empire after the flood, trying to recreate that civilization that perished in the flood. No longer are angels on the earth to tell us what to do and be our gods. Don't worry, Nimrod and Semiramis will take care of that for you. Nimrod died, don't worry, Semiramis has him in her belly. To be born again? What? They had to keep that reincarnation ruse up somehow. If they're reincarnated from dead angels, how do they die? Oh, don't worry, they just keep being born again. Well, no. But it made sense to the people, I guess, when they showed up with military force to dominate them. And that is why the Greeks claim to be descended from the gods, and the Danes claim to be descended from the gods, and Pharaoh and Caesar claim to be gods. This is the story. Descended from fallen angels, literally. Royal blood? As the world sees it, not as God sees it. He flooded the world for all that, remember? All the oppressors of the world claim to be descended from the gods, from an advanced civilization, long lost and hidden and keeper. This is why it's called racial occultism. It is what the Germanic tribes did. It is what the Romans did. It is what the Norse did. It is what the Chinese did. It's what the Egyptians did. It's what Tartaria conspiracy attempts to do on behalf of Russia. So that these two fellas right here are no different than that fella that only had so much of a mustache on his face. Tartaria conspiracy and can't see-ism, same thing. Let's talk about Satan's short season then. Now, if you ask any Tartarian conspiracy theorist when Jesus returned, they might give you any number of different answers. It's not some unified group of people that all believe the same thing. But it doesn't matter. Revelation gives us a clear timeline that hasn't happened yet. You see, when Satan falls to the earth, that hasn't happened yet? Nope, he is free to come and go. When Satan gets thrown to the earth, at the 6th seal of the apocalypse for the Great Tribulation, the powers of heaven will be shaken. The sky is going to depart, go away. 1/3 of the stars are going to fall from heaven. A celestial event. Those are the same stars been recorded up there for at least the last 6,000 years. The sky's still here. Powers of heaven haven't been shaken. The mountains and islands will move out of their place. That has not happened yet. They're where they've been all along, all of them. But when Jesus comes back, that will have already happened. It will also be a celestial event that can be seen by all nations wherever they are. The marriage of the bride to Christ is going to happen in the sight of all nations, while the angels dump the bowls of wrath on their heads. The marriage supper of the Lamb is Armageddon. Satan is the guest without a wedding garment on. He gets bound in chains and thrown into hell for 1,000 years. As the days of Noah were, so shall it be when the Son of Man returns. Jesus will bring with him a new covenant. Why do we have the same one? Because he hasn't returned. If the nations don't go down to keep the Feast of Tabernacles, no rain will fall on their land and they'll all starve to death. That has not happened yet. Nobody around here is 1,000 years old, and men will be living to such an age as that. And a wicked man will die at 100 years old. Where is Jesus and his saints in his camp? Where are they? Satan's never been to hell. He goes in for the first time at the end of Armageddon. Jesus has not returned, though history does repeat the revelation of Jesus Christ on all scales, small to large. While it actually plays out in real time, the revelation, the apocalypse, is the age we are in. Satan will be thrown to the earth. Jesus will return and fight Armageddon. Satan will be thrown into hell. There won't be any more mountains or islands. We'll be able to see straight into heaven. We'd be living to 1,000 years old. When Satan is loosed for his short season, it's to deceive the nations to go down and fight Armageddon Part 2 against God and his saints in their camp. Where is it? If you're still with any of this stuff right here after this video, I will put you out. You're free to believe whatever you want, somewhere else. Tartaria was the Mongol Empire.